Welcome to the ABA Barber Challenge. I'm your host, Palma N'Sheluvzit. Well, the challenge is on, and tonight we will reveal the results of our first challenge and see what the contestants have been up to. Before we get to that, here's a reminder of what's at stake for the contestants. The winning contestant for each week will receive some amazing products to help build their very own professional career. Besides being crowned the first ABA Barber Challenge champion, the winner will also receive one-on-one mentoring and over $15,000 worth in education and prizes from our fabulous sponsors. A great opportunity for our contestants and a wonderful chance for our mentors to share their knowledge. So let's get to challenge number 1. Our first challenge took our contestants back in time. Our contestants have each been given the Cole mannequin head to create and personalize a look that gives a nod to the previous time period. From the rockabilly pompadour of the 50s to the blowouts and afros in the 70s. The decade and look is all up to the contestant. The final look must show off all angles of the creation and will be judged on overall execution, overall fashion look, artistic workmanship, and level of difficulty. All of the contestants have submitted their 360 video showing off their work, along with pictures of the front, back, and sides. The mentors were given each submission to judge anonymously to keep the competition fair. Let's see what the mentors have to say. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. The challenge was superb. The contestants did a fantastic job. So tell me guys, what did you think about the first contestant? Benson, tell me a little bit about that.
First contestant was actually really cool. Something that was expected because a pompadour was something that is definitely a throwback. So I really liked how the undercut was very symmetrical on both sides. One of the things I hate about pompadours when I see them is that the undercut is not symmetrical. So one side will be a little bit higher than the other. And I know how extremely hard it is to create volume in, especially like that, looking like that Johnny Bravo look. One critique that I do have though, is that I think the volume was a little bit too high. If it was like lower near the back and higher in the front, that would have been cool. I just thought it was a little bit high, but I think that's an easy fix. You know, you can just kind of pat it down and I'm sure it would have looked perfect. So overall, it was a really nice haircut and it was really nice to see, especially on video.
Very cool. I thought I would do a little something for an era as well today, and I thought I'd just do a little pinup for the contestants, had a little fun myself. So tell me, Bradford, what did you think about contestant number 1's look?
Contestant number 1 definitely hit it on the head with one of the most iconic looks out there. The pompadour is always a throwback. I liked that this contestant took the extremes of going from a zero fade into probably the most maximum volume that they could create out of this look. I thought that the styling and the entire thought process was really put into it. One thing that I would maybe critique is just throw a little bit more shine, a little bit more added texture just for an added pop. But I really liked the degree of difficulty to go from a zero all the way to an extended shape like they had on this pompadour.
Yeah, we can never get enough shine, can we, boys? Zach, tell me, what did you think about contestant number 1's look?
I think contestant number 1 did a great job of really, getting the point of what challenge number 1 was and focusing in on a look from the past. And I think that really focusing on the pompadour look is something that is, when we think about past haircuts, especially in short hair and men's haircut, it is one of the stronger looks that we think about coming from the past. So I think that contestant number 1 did a really good job of nailing all the aspects of what is a difficult haircut, to be honest. So, attention to detail. I think that they did a really good job of the proportions, the sides tapering back to, to the back of the head. So from shorter to longer, as well as the length in the front to the shorter in the back. So I think overall, they did a really good job of nailing all the aspects of the haircut. When it comes to a critique, I would say that maybe, you look to to be a little bit more precise when it comes to balance, especially towards the back of the haircut where the two sides come together. But overall, very strong look, very strong finish.
Bradford, tell me, what did you think about contestant number two's look?
Yeah, contestant number two definitely, again, had a nice nod to the 50s pompadour look. This is a look that's always been very classic, and I think that I appreciated that they took an added element to their own creativity within the style. One critique that I would add is maybe throwing in a little bit more of a taper into the look, or just adding a tiny bit more into the barbering element. But overall, I thought that this look was a very strong nod to the past.
Absolutely. I definitely felt that Elvis Presley vibe with that. Zach, tell me, what did you think about contestant number two's look?
Yeah, contestant number two, again, much like contestant number one, did a very good job of really focusing in on some of the more traditional looks that when we think of looks from the past, so a very a retro Elvis Presley type look. I think that it was a very strong look overall. One critique I would say is that the front piece, although it is a nod to that era, it is a little bit too perfect, a little bit too roller set, in my opinion. A little bit of a less manufactured look, I think, would have extended the look a little bit further. But overall, again, great job.
Yes, absolutely. Benson, tell me, what did you think of contestant number two's look?
Contestant number two, I thought was really creative with how they brought that retro look. My favorite part of that look is actually that curl in the front, and I gotta agree with Zach when he says it could have been looking more natural. But although I do agree with that, I do find the beauty in having it kind of perfect like that, because it's also something that we don't see all the time. So I think they did a really good look at polishing the sides and everything like that. One critique that I would give, though, is that I would like to see more texture on the sides as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. What did you guys feel when you saw contestant number three? Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, I think contestant number three did a really good job of I guess, stepping into a little bit more of what's current, a little bit more of, maybe the punk scene. So a little bit different than what the first two contestants really did, a throwback to a little bit earlier style. So overall, did a really good job of doing a creative look. I think that one critique I would have is that although there's shape in the hair, I don't see much shape or texture within the haircut itself as much as I think that maybe in that era we would see. So a little bit more use of some product to get, a little bit more, I guess, texture within the haircut itself.
Yeah, it definitely brought me back to the 80s, guys. What am I going to tell you? That look, definitely, I probably would have rocked it. Benson, what did you think of contestant number three's look?
I thought contestant number three's look was the first look of its kind so far with the order of contestants that we've seen. The first two was something that was very polished, very classic. I really like the use of color, and they even put through some, I think there was like a design in it, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought that, and I think they did it from a zero fade as well. So there was a lot of elements to this haircut that was really cool to see in a retro look.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Bradford, tell me, what did you think of contestant number three's look?
Yeah, I agree with all the judges, and as well as you. I definitely went straight back into the 80s, more of a flock of seagulls nod there. So I liked the creative thought process with this one. You can definitely tell that this person wanted to be as creative as possible and went with a different directions as far as blending the past into the present and taking that 80s inspiration of a more punk rock scene and then bringing it into some of the current trends that we've seen, to some of the other points that the judges have made.
Okay, mentors, we're ready for contestant number four. Now, this one made me feel like rock on. What did you guys think of contestant number four? Zach, tell me how you felt about it.
Yeah, I thought contestant number four really did a good job of. When you look at the image, I think the era that we're really speaking to here. But 80s punk rock, that whole punk rock scene with the Liberty spikes. I think it's very evident when you're looking at the picture the amount of attention that the contestant paid in this particular challenge, right down to the tattoos, to the jacket, to the Liberty spikes themselves. Everything was done extremely well.
Most definitely. Benson, what did you think of contestant number 4's look?
I gotta say, contestant number 4 was probably one of my favorite looks that was done. I felt like the attention to detail was just on another level. Whenever I'm judging a competition, I always look for overall look, and this one hit it right out the park. Down to like as other judges mentioned, their tattoos, the jacket. It was actually one of the only ones that also had not just the mannequin. Like they actually try to dress everything down from the chin down. And to be honest, I don't really have any critiques on this haircut. Everything was just done so well, and it was really thought through. So I really enjoyed seeing that one for sure.
Yeah, I wish I can rock a leather jacket like that mannequin did. Bradford, what did you think of contestant number 4's look?
I personally lived outside of London in the 80s as a kid, so it brought back that flashback to me. And that was really, for me, a point in time that it allowed men's grooming to have an acceptance of color. You know, looking at this contestant's entry, really, it's like watching a movie with multiple stories, but the entire story comes together. I wouldn't say this is a critique. It'd be more of an advice moving forward, is just keep that same momentum, and the other contestants to really take a look at the overall story, create a storyboard, and then your look will come through as executed as this one was.
So, mentors, let's talk about our final contestant for the first challenge. Zach, tell me, what did you think about contestant number 5's look?
I thought contestant number 5 had a really, really strong look, a very classic men's haircut. I think that, it's a very classic shape. A classic haircut never really goes out of style, but it is something that we see, from the 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way through. It's a very standard haircut, I think. I think maybe as a critique, I would just say if I believe a little bit tighter, a tapering around the hairline in the front, that would maybe be my only technique. I think that overall this was a very, very strong look.
Bradford, tell me, what did you think about contestant number 5's look?
Yeah, as we've said, the pompadour, you're really hitting it on the head as far as what the challenge was, a nod to the past, giving us a classic look. I loved the shine. I thought that it was styled well. I think that what my only critique would be is when you are styling, to the other mentors' points, definitely looking at the hairline and the overall silhouette, but then also paying attention to what's behind the actual image that you're trying to portray, because sometimes the style will get lost based upon whatever that background is. So paying attention to the full image and the full 360 view, as well as the full style that you're trying to portray.
Yes. So, Benson, tell me, what did you think about the last contestant, number 5's look?
The last contestant picked a really good classic look. This is a look that we've seen time and time again, and it's actually, in my opinion, one of the most popular classic looks actually. And they did a great job of styling it, making it shine. Critique that I would give though is that when I was looking at the silhouette from like the 360 view, I saw some hairs that were not fully polished. Like it was like a little bit lifted in certain areas. But other than that, definitely a simple, clean, classic look.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, mentors, for joining me today to talk about the first challenge and what these contestants were up against. Well, clearly, our contestants have put in a lot of effort into their first challenge, and they received plenty of great advice for next week. With many decades from the past to choose from, I was curious to chat with the contestants about their inspiration and challenges they faced this week.
Dans le fond, moi, j'ai choisi de prendre une coupe des années 50. Dans le fond, je trouvais ça vraiment cool quand j'ai vu qu'il fallait prendre une coupe de l'époque, parce que d'un, je sortais carrément de ma zone de confort parce que j'ai pratiquement jamais coiffé des coupes de ce style-là. Fait que du coup, j'étais stressé un peu au début, mais finalement, j'ai vraiment trouvé ça cool parce que ça m'a permis de faire autre chose que je fais de l'habitude. Puis, Dans le fond, j'ai choisi de prendre Elephant Trunk Haircut. C'est une coupe des années 50, puis c'est une coupe que malgré qu'elle est arrivée dans les années 50, elle a quand même continué, même on en a vu dans les années 70 dans le film Grease avec John Travolta. Puis je trouvais que c'était une coupe qui avait quand même vraiment du style, donc j'ai choisi cette coupe-là. Puis honnêtement, j'ai eu vraiment du plaisir à faire ça. J'ai utilisé des techniques que j'avais jamais utilisées. Puis bref, je suis vraiment content de ce que j'ai accompli pour ce premier challenge.
Merci, François.
Il n'y a pas de problème, ça me fait plaisir.
Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to finally meet you.
Absolutely, same. So tell me, how did you find challenge number 1? And what kind of obstacles did you run into?
I love challenge number 1. I thought it was the perfect challenge for me. The challenge that I ran into when firstly, I created the 1970s, 1980s inspired mohawk. I wanted to incorporate some color because I love doing color. So I added some color. I bleached him out first, and then I did a mohawk, and then I finished it off with a mohawk fade on the sides. I found that the challenge that I faced was dealing with color on a mannequin just because I wasn't used to the rubberized surface of the mannequin's skin. So I found that staining was an issue, but I worked with it the best I could.
Well, you did a fantastic job. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jordan. How are you?
Good, Palma. Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Same here. Now tell me, what did you think about challenge number 1? And what were your challenges?
I love challenge number 1. Right in kind of my wheelhouse in terms of classic cuts and styles. We do a lot of classic cuts and styles here. The challenge came more from this time around being mid-length. So rather than in the more modern way of a pompadour, which is where I went with it, I went to a pompadour in the 50s. I went with going mid-length instead of like a fade on the sides because I really wanted to show the technical application that I love doing. So the cut is primarily all scissor over comb, and sectioning is a very big key to that. One of the challenges that came with it was just being mindful about where your sections are and making sure that you're watching for any weight that you're creating later on to make sure that you're blending things properly. And also, even when you're doing clipper over comb and using your trimmers, it's one of those moments where you have to be very careful not to, suddenly slip and then undo everything that you just did for a very long time.
Well, I was definitely channeling that vibe and showed up today with a little pinup look for you guys.
Yeah,
Love
sure.
the inspiration. Hey, Mac, nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Now tell me, what did you think about challenge number 1? And did you run into any obstacles on your way?
I was super excited to do challenge 1. I really like to step outside the box. So I went with the 80s mullet, but my way. I went one side very like normal mullet, and then the other side a little more avant-garde, something you haven't seen before. Challenges I had, added some color. So again, like some of the contestants said, blending the colors in, making it the right color I wanted, and also blending the fade that I did on both sides. Just mannequin hair is so much different than human hair. So that was probably the 2 challenges I had.
Well, Mac, I definitely wanted to rock that mullet. Let me tell you, I was like, rock on when I saw that.
Motley Crue. That's inspiration from them for sure.
Yeah, you brought me back, kid. You brought me back.
Good.
Hi, Juan. Nice to meet you. Tell me, what did you think about challenge number 1? I loved what you did.
I got my inspirations from the 1950s rock star Elvis. I really like him. He always have cool styles, and I also like the pompadour look. It looks really good on guys. And for the challenge, I found is when I try to create the volumes, I need like do some back combing and to support the hair, to use a lot of products to make sure the hair looks like a even. And with the products, I use some before I blow dry. I use some grooming tonic to support the hair, to make the hair look shining. And then after I blow dry, I use some like bruise powder to dust inside to give some support, then do the back combing. Then at the end, I use the hairsprays. Just use a lot of hairsprays and to like strong hold hairspray to hold the hair.
Well, the moment has come. The scores have been tabulated. And the winner of our first challenge is contestant number 4. Congratulations, Emily. You're this week's winner.
Woo! Thank you. That's such an incredible honor. Thank you, everyone.
You have won a pair of Casio Ivory 6-inch straight scissors, courtesy of Auriac, a value of $650. Wow, a big congratulations to Emily. All right, it's time to introduce our second challenge. Our second challenge is all about the present. Our contestants have each been given the Ian mannequin head to create a look that is inspired by present-day hairstyles and trends, from a modern bowl cut to a shaggy mullet to a modern French crop haircut. The ideas are endless. Contestants must also incorporate a modern facial haircut as well, finishing off their look. The final look must show off all of the angles of the creation and will be judged on overall execution, overall fashion look, artistic workmanship, and level of difficulty. To help our contestants create a winning look, our mentors have some fabulous tips to help them out.
Hi contestants, my tip for challenge number 2 is to make sure that everything is really clean. Now, when we're looking at present haircuts, like as you guys can see with the type of work and artwork that's coming out today, it's all about cleanliness, clean blends, clean lines, sharp lines, and those are kind of really the things that we're going to be looking for. We're looking for that clean blend, maybe certain looks with fades and full sculpt exposures. So we're looking for a lot of blending and stuff like that, a lot of more clipper work more than styling work. We definitely want to see a little bit of both for sure, but clipper work definitely plays a big role in present day haircuts. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking for.
My tip for challenge number 2 is the present. Think about the modern trends and fashion and different things that really make you enjoy what's going on. Are there cuts and styles that you really wish that you could do more of behind the chair? If there are, think about those and bring this current modern trend to this challenge.
So challenge number 2, what we're looking for is a look from the present. Really interesting because I think that currently, we're taking a lot of inspiration from the past. So there may be some mixing of concepts that we've done in the challenge number 1 into now challenge number 2, but it's really extending from that first challenge and really looking at what is current in hair now. So I think some tips and tricks that I would look at is that currently I think we're getting into a little bit more of texture, a little bit more play on expansion from maybe looks from the past. So I would focus really on some of the imagery and how you look at how texture is involved in the looks and how you can manipulate through that, through either your technique in cutting or how you add texture with your products at the end. But I'm really excited to see what you come up with your current looks.
Thank you, mentors. Fantastic tips. Make sure to tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to see the results of our second challenge and to see what's in store for challenge 3. And to stay up to date with everything happening with the ABA Barber Challenge and to vote for your favorite look this week, please visit abacanada.com/barberchallenge. See you all next week.